Welcome back, everyone, to our Thursday, ooh, knock down the table, our Thursday class, yoga practice. We are going today to focus specifically on stretching, and I'm going for like the big muscle groups of our legs, like hamstrings, and like the outer edge of the thighs, the inner thighs, and then hopefully get some back stretching in there, and then even some stretching of like the groin area, which like, I don't know how to say it any less like weird than like groin. I feel like it's like one of those words. It's like, but lovely to stretch out and not injure as well as the rest of our body. So we're gonna just kind of go into that. And I kind of left the theme of the class sort of vaguely open, just stretch legs and back. And that's sort of to give you the opportunity to put whatever you want into this practice, to stretch anything out that you need that maybe we're not getting to have a little bit of freedom with it. I will be your humble guide as always. But stretching also, especially after this we had an extremely stressful year. It's been an extremely stressful period of years, but I feel like it was very concentrated in the last week or two. And stretching, of course, in a kind of symbolic way, it's the act of creating space between fibers and between muscles and between each other, just stretching and spreading. And I think finding a little space to spread is a really nice thing to do for ourselves right now. And lastly, just by stretching, I think it's also a nice kind of gentle way to test our own limits, and really see where our boundaries are, our edges, where they lie, and how we define them in any day. Because of course our boundaries change as we go through life, and with our bodies and breath they do as well. Like for instance, one day you may bend over and touch your knees, and then maybe after a period of days or weeks or years, maybe you can touch your ankles or your shins, and then maybe you can one day even touch the floor. And just showing that like your limits change, and you can meet that limit, get comfortable with it, get used to it, and then maybe move beyond it, if that's your goal. So with all of that maybe in mind, maybe you're just like, not just trying to stretch it out today. Either way, let's just start with a little bit of grounding breath practice. So find yourself in a comfortable seated position, and take a second. We're gonna do a little like reverse body scan here. Feel where you are making contact with the floor. We're gonna start down and go up. So if you want to like push your hands under your seat and just kind of pull away any flesh, so you feel a little more rooted into the ground. Like bunny shakes, I don't know. And then we're going to begin to lift up with a deep inhale from our lower belly, and feel that inhale lifting our spine. Shoulders might just incidentally rise too, but then on the exhale you have the opportunity to lower them down into their pockets. So there is this uplifting energy from your center, from the ground up through the center of your body, even up past your forehead and out the crown of your head, like you're growing taller. It's so funny to like look at myself. I'm like, what are you doing, Catherine? You're growing taller, but at the same time, you're grounded into the earth. You can experience that in the lowering of the shoulders and the grounding of your sits bones. Sorry, I'm getting once again, I get these little, anytime anything happens on my computer, it like shows up on my Zoom. So I'm just trying to zoom it back up. All right, so hopefully you can still see me. There it is. Okay, excellent. So take a deep breath here, feeling the grounding points of your body and the uplifting points of your body, and begin to close your eyes, taking deep inhales through your nose and out through parted lips. Maybe you can feel that breath, kind of watch it as it's traveling down into your body. Find where it's settling at the peak of the inhale, and then watch as it travels back up your body and out through your mouth on the exhale. Try this for a few minutes, or not minutes, but a few moments. Remind yourself to let your shoulders be heavy. And take one more deep inhale, the deepest you've taken since we started. And on the exhale, let your eyelids slowly come back open. And just take a little bit of a mental note of how you're doing right now. We're moving slowly and deliberately. Hopefully that was refreshing. It was for me. And now we're going to move on to our mats. Just setting up my image here. Okay. We're going to move on to our mats. And we're going to start. We're going to do everything on the floor in kind of a midway and floor practice today. We're not going to get on our feet at all, but we are going to work the muscles that we would be stretching. We are going to work the muscles. Talk about like gray day. I can't even like speak that. We're going to be working the muscles that we would be using if we were to be on our feet. We would be walking, maybe the same muscles we use would be jog, jump, things like that. But we're going to gently use them in a stretch on the floor. So we're going to move through a couple rounds of cat and cow. So align yourself with your shoulders over your wrists, knees, under your hips, and begin to take a deep breath as we lower the belly, gaze lifts, pressing away from the mat, all 10 knuckles, pushing into the earth. And then on the exhale, reverse, rounding the spine, nice big dome, tops of the feet against the floor, gaze between your legs. Inhale, reverse. Belly drops, gaze lifts. And exhale, dome through the spine. Here's an opportunity for you to take whatever you'd like here. Perhaps you want to take little circles with your body around your wrists. Perhaps you'd like to make little figure eights, continuing to feel the arching of the spine and the rounding of the spine as you add a little more motion. Option to tuck your toes and just send your hips back and forward nice and easy to get a little toe stretch, maybe a little stretch in the tops of the legs. Trying to connect still with those points on your body that are connecting with the ground. So perhaps that's your palm and your fingertips, the tips of your toes. Just reach in and identify what those points are. Try to feel grounded as you bring a little more motion into your body. All right, when we're nice and warm, we're going to begin to walk our hands towards our legs and send our torso upright. Hopefully my head doesn't get cut off. Just barely. If I were wearing a crown, it would be cut off. We're going to take a deep inhale in this tall kneeled position. If any knee sensitivity is causing you difficulty, just put a pillow or a blanket under your knees, or just skip this portion of the exercise. We're going to take a deep breath here, find length. On the exhale, feel yourself rooted through your right leg as we begin to lift the left leg off the ground and step it in front of us. So we're into this lunge position. Our left leg is extended in front. Our right leg is still on the ground. And we're going to take our hands to our hips and rotate the hips so that they are square to the front. So that might be gently pressing the right hip forward and guiding the left hip back. Shoulders should follow suit, so we're not like slightly open to one side. And just find your gaze directly in front of you. Take a moment and look down. Make sure that you can see your toes. We don't want your heel we don't want your heel to be closer to your body than your knee is. Excellent. Take one deep inhale to get a little lifted. And on the exhale, we can begin to settle our pelvis towards the earth. You might need to kind of squeegee that front leg out a little more to make space for your body. Good, we're not collapsing into the stretch, just like maxed out, just like hanging out here. We're using our muscles to gently press down. So at any moment, you can spring back up. We haven't let go. So feel the muscles working together, the thigh of the extended leg, the hamstring of the extended leg, the thigh of the supporting leg, kind of pulling towards you and gently releasing. Take a breath here. And on your exhale, begin to let that go a little more and press into that lunge stretch. Take a deep breath in as we lift our arms overhead. You can clasp your fingers and extend the index fingers if you'd like, keeping those shoulders down and back, shoulders square. Take an inhale, perhaps gaze lifts. And then exhale to release the hands down past your sides, bring them back to your hips. Engage those legs again as you press back up into that high lifted lunge. Then we're gonna stabilize ourselves on that right leg again as we bring our left leg back. So find a little stability on that back leg and bring the left leg back to meet it. Excellent. If you need to come down a little bit because you might be a little tight on your knees, I have like loads of carpet here, so even my fragile, delicate, oft broken knees feel okay here. But take what you need. I'm gonna move into the other side. So take a deep inhale, tall, high kneeling position. Exhale to feel your support on your left leg. Release the right leg out in front. Excellent. Now that our hands are on our hips, you're gonna guide the left hip to be a little more forward, right hip back, just so they're square with the front edge of your mat. Same thing with the shoulders. We don't want to be open to the left side or over twisting to the right. Excellent. Take a deep breath in. And then exhale, begin to send the pelvis towards the ground, not letting the lower back go, keeping everything long and tall in that spine. Might need to walk the front toes out a little bit to make space, to give your body a place to go. Again, we haven't given up yet. We're still resisting a little bit, building a little bit of strength, working out the muscles that in a few moments we're going to stretch out, getting them warm, getting them prepared for the stretch. Good. Inhale to send the hips back up a little bit. Exhale to lunge a little more. And then very carefully lunge, meet your edge, a place that's comfortable, but offering you a bit of stretch. You may feel it underneath the extended leg. Option to reach those arms up overhead, clasping the fingers or extending the index fingers. Gaze lifts. And then exhale to separate those hands, reach them down past your sides, hands come to hips. Using those muscles to, engaging those muscles to begin to lift those hips up, finding a place of stability up here, taking a breath. And on the exhale, we're going to shift the front leg back to meet the kneeling leg. Wonderful. Let's tuck our toes and very carefully send our hips back and then walk those hands forward. Child's pose. Take a couple of deep breaths here at the bottom. If it's more comfortable for you, you can open your knees a little bit wider to give your body a little more room. You're gonna inhale, come up onto those fingertips, tent on up, and we're gonna walk on over to the right side. And when we find a nice place where we feel the stretch in the side body, exhale to settle here. I'm gonna inhale, tent up on those fingers. And begin to walk over to the left side, and on an exhale, settle into your left side child's pose. And you have to come up on those fingertips, walk back to the middle. We're gonna untuck those toes, and reach down once more, feeling into this slightly modified child's pose, but you might feel more than a slight difference. And on an inhale, a nice deep, slow inhale, we're gonna come back to our tabletop position and just carefully send your hips to one side. And let's be mermaids. Now, we're actually gonna just come to our comfortable seated position. Again, take a second to find that alignment in the upper body. Man, I like straight hairs, like sticking out all over, blaming the humidity. All right. And we're gonna bring the soles of our feet together, a little bound ankle pose. So our feet are pressing together, the heels are touching, soles of the feet touching, toes touching. And you can place pillows or blocks underneath your knees, both knees, to give them a place to go. If it's comfortable in your practice, or if you feel nice and open today, you can just let your knees hang out where they naturally fall, just as long as you don't feel extreme discomfort. So we're gonna reach onto our ankles, take a deep breath in, feel your body pressing through those arms like a bit of a cow pose. And then exhale, begin to send that upper body forward just a little bit. We're not touching nose to the ground right now. We're just getting a slight stretch with a straight back, or at least the intention of a straight back. And breathe here in that slightly tilted forward, like you're looking over a cliff and it's like a lovely forest that you're looking into, or something lovely, just hinging forward. And then we're gonna round through the spine, round the belly, roll up out of it. Good, we're gonna do that one more time. And just as we're at the edge of a cliff peering over, we're gonna meet our edge on this one. So we're gonna kind of see where we are and see if perhaps we want to take a couple steps closer to that edge, a couple steps back, and just play around with how we feel and what we're experiencing. So we're going to come back into our bound ankle pose. Reach for those ankles. Take a deep breath in, pressing that heart through. And on your exhale, again, keeping that spine nice and long so you haven't collapsed down. Not yet. Peer over the edge of the cliff. And again, if you're peering over and it's like an edge and you can fall, your gaze is probably going a little further ahead of your feet. You're probably not standing right at the edge looking directly down. So let that extension expand through your neck, even into your eyes, into your gaze as you lean forward, peering over. Excellent. Take a deep breath here, and perhaps it's something you really want to see, you even make your neck a little longer. And then on an exhale, round down, fold over, and see how you feel in this stretch. Let your head be heavy. Let your shoulders be heavy. You're just letting gravity do what it does. We're gonna inhale and come on back to that straight back, shoulders down and back, peering over the edge position. Take a couple breaths here. Now this is a moment where if you're like, okay, I'm feeling it a lot in my hip flexors, in my joints, sit up a little taller. If you're like, no, this is okay, I'm all right with this, perhaps we can send that heart a little bit more forward and take a couple steps closer to that edge. And then on an exhale, whenever that comes naturally, round over, head is heavy. Examine where you are in space. Examine how this second round feels. Take a deep breath at the bottom here. Let it go. Then on an inhale with a rounded spine, you can use your hands on the floor. Roll up one vertebra at a time. And we're gonna lift those knees. I always feel it like on the outer edges of my feet, which is interesting. Take a second, and we're gonna extend the right foot straight out in front of us. Here, we're gonna lift the left leg and kind of hug that leg into our chest. So the left foot is not on the ground, but rather we're hugging it towards us. I like to use my left hand to kind of hug my knee and my right hand to go underneath the heel to make sure that my toes aren't flopping side to side. Just kind of one straight letter L in my lower half. Excellent, just give it a little hug. See if we can press our heart again through our elbows, through our shoulders a little bit to enhance the stretch that we're feeling in the leg, and also to just give the position a little bit of spinal integrity. Excellent, and now we're gonna place that foot on the floor and just hug it towards us. Here you can control the intensity based on how much you hug that leg in towards your body. And then we're gonna carefully release that hug. Carefully send that leg back down and give both legs a shake. And just flex your feet Look down. Notice if one foot has inched out a little further than the other. Notice if you feel any difference in the legs, even if it's just a slight warmth or a little bit of like a fuzzy feeling in one leg. Excellent. We're going to do the same thing with the other. So we're going to bend the right leg in, cross it over, but not touching the floor. We're going to cross that leg over, and we're going to just hug that foot in towards our bodies. There's no perfect way to do this. Just find what works for you. Find where you can really kind of feel that the leg can be heavy in your arms. And when you're ready, you're going to gently place the right foot on the outside of your left leg. And with your arms, hug that leg in towards your body, pressing that spine tall. You might be feeling it on the outside edge of your right hip here, flexing through this, the extended leg. Wonderful. And on an exhale, just carefully release it. Let it go. Give it a little shake. Oh, wonderful. Now we're going to come on to our backs, and we're going to do a little bit of stretching while laying down. How lovely. My ideal kind of stretching. So carefully find yourself on your back. Wonderful. We're going to extend the right leg down in front of us and just hug in the left leg. So hug wherever you feels good. If you want to hold behind your thigh, that works. If you want to hold by your shin, just try not to like aggravate the knee very much, and flex through both feet. If you would like here, you can bring little circles to that the leg you're hugging in, the left leg, but trying to keep both shoulder blades grounded into the mat. So you're not rolling off of your alignment here. We're still grounded, just giving the hip a little rotation if you like. From here, you're going to keep hugging that knee in. You're simply going to bring the right foot to bend. So place the sole of the right foot on the ground, knee up, still hugging in that left leg. Now we're going to place our hands underneath our calf. So we're holding now onto the hamstring, the thigh area, the back of the thigh of our left leg. So we just released the shin. From here, keeping a very loose grip on your leg so that there's mobility, you're going to begin to kick that leg towards the sky and releasing with your fingers wherever it needs to go. So if it's down here, great. If you can bring it a little closer, great. Just find wherever you feel a bit of a stretch down that whole leg. And a little bend in the knee is absolutely okay. More flexing will increase the sensation. Less flexing will reduce the sensation. So take what you need here. Deep breaths. Are we grounding through those shoulder blades? Has our right knee just opened out to the side? Can we keep it pointing right up to the sky? And on an exhale, begin to bend that extended leg. Place that left foot on the ground next to the right. And you're going to extend one leg and the other and just shake them out. You can even reach your arms overhead and give it a little stretch. Wonderful. Now we're going to keep our left leg extended, flexing through the left toes. We're going to hug in the right knee, rounding through the shoulder blades. Give it a nice little hug, knee towards your right armpit. If you want, option to bring small circles one direction and then the other into the hugged leg. Good. Knowing that you know where we're going next, so taking whatever you need here to feel prepared to begin to extend that leg. But first, we're going to bend the left leg and plant the sole of the foot down on the ground, kind of close to your booty. And we're bringing our grip to underneath our calf. So we're now hugging our leg in from the hamstring below the thigh, under the thigh. And when you're ready, using that heel of the right foot, begin to kick up towards the ceiling, letting it extend wherever it wants to. So if you have to release your grip so it can extend a little more forward, if you want to enhance the grip so you hold it a little closer to your body, take wherever you need, knowing that the more you flex, the more you're going to feel it. Especially if you have hamstring issues, a gentle bend in the knee can be really preventative of injuries. So definitely take that if that's something you're trying to heal. I actually have a hamstring injury here, but it's healed. But it's so interesting to I can like almost like feel how the tension is different in this hamstring versus the other one. It's almost like daring me to go too far and have to spend like 2 years healing it. So a little bend in that knee, flexing the toe to get a nice stretch out of the calf. And when you're ready, take a breath here. And exhale, begin to bend that leg. Place the foot next to the left. Just open your arms here and let the knees drop to one side. Feel a nice release in the legs. And then inhale, let those knees come back up. And exhale, let the knees drop to the other side. I just cracked like 4 times. Excellent. I always love this position. I feel like if like my mother were to walk in and just see me laying like this, like she'd be like, okay, let's get some like ice cream or something. I'd be like, no, I'm self-soothing. this is a good shape. But it does kind of look a little like like I feel like I look a little pathetic doing it. I'm like, but it's good. It's like this full released, like, just letting it all go pose. Then we're gonna lift those knees back on up. Let's hug one in and then the other and just reach up. Here you can let your shoulders lift off the ground if you'd like. I like to do a little like rock and roll. Take whatever you need. This is like a little yoga. If you want to, yoga playtime. If you want to just let your head be heavy and gently rock side to side, just do a little something that involves a little bit of rocking. Again, if my mom came in at this, she'd also be like, oh, okay, Catherine, you're coming back home. Wonderful. We're going to plant the soles of our feet back on the ground once we've had enough little rocking back and forth, feeling a little wind in our hair. And we're going to go into a nice little figure 4 stretch. So here, soles of the feet are planted, knees are pointing up to the sky. You're going to press your lower back to the ground so there's no little space, or there's a reduced space in your lower back. You don't really want a huge space under here. You're going to cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Reach those hands in between. So the right hand is going to go in that little triangle you created. Left hand is going to go on the outside of your left leg. And we're going to pick that leg towards our face and or towards our body. It's not really towards our face. And lay back down on the ground. You know where we're going. We've done this a few times. So back is nice and long. Feel that length again, crown of the head to your tailbone. We haven't shrunk in this, even though we're tense and we're activated. Feel that length, let your spine be long, flexing through both feet. Try not to sickle those feet, meaning, see this right foot just kind of tips forward. Try to keep it in line with squared ankle, if that makes sense. Your ankle pointing right up towards the ceiling and your foot fits right into that little hallway. Metaphors, clearly my strength. Here you can begin to straighten the left leg if you'd like. This is just an option to feel what that offers you. You can also keep it bent and just gently pull the legs a little closer to your body on a breath and then gently release it on a breath, like the rocking of ocean waves, to just gently stretch and gently release. Take whatever you like here. I'm gonna hold it for just a few more seconds. Let your breath begin to fill you up again. Although we're stretching, this pose is somewhat restorative and it keeps our lungs nice and open. We're not crushing anything here. So let them fill expansively and fully release on the exhale. On your next breath, begin to lower the left leg to the ground, uncross the right leg, open the arms, and just gently on a breath each, windshield wiper those knees. When you're ready, let those knees come on back to center. Grounding now through the left foot, pressing the lower back to the ground. It's also a safety thing for the lower back to really keep it engaged by using the core. We're going to cross the left leg over the right leg. Reach those arms, so now left hand is going in that little triangle. Reach for the hamstring on the other side, on the right leg, and roll your back down to the ground. And our nice little figure four, flexing through both feet, and then taking what you need here. Let your breath fill you completely and also fully empty. Feeling those shoulder blades making contact with the mat. Releasing tension in your jaw and your neck, in the shoulder region. And on a breath, gently let that right foot come back down to the ground. Uncross the left leg. And here, we're gonna just walk your heels a little closer to your booty. Hands are going to be flat and on the floor alongside your body. Again, pressing the lower belly down so that the back is flat with the mat. We're gonna inhale to lift those hips high in the sky. Option to take your hands and just hold yourself up a little bit, give your back a little bit of support. Or you can cross your hands, clasp your hands underneath your body, extend those index fingers again, gaze up towards the ceiling, feeling that length still in your spine. Fill up with air, and on an exhale, release those hands carefully and slowly lower back down. Arms out to the side, windshield wiper those legs. We're gonna do that one more time, and I just wanna offer you options for this next time. As we rise, you have the option to rise up onto your toes if you would like, especially if you don't have shin. If you have shin sensitivity, I wouldn't go on your toes. But if you don't, option to try to balance on the balls of your feet. You can even try to kick one foot up and the other, and just know that if you feel wobbly or unstable, you can always lower your hips back down to the ground, or you can just abstain from doing any of those little funny frilly things. That's just more for you to just challenge yourself, just see what you want to do, see what your body wants to do if you want to try it out. Otherwise, just a nice steady bridge is great. So we're going to walk those feet back in a little closer to our booty so you can almost touch the heels, keeping those knees from opening wide or knocking in. Just keep them directly coming out of your hips. Plant those palms on the ground, flatten the lower back by pressing the lower belly down. And on an exhale, begin to lift those hips high in the sky. Hands can come to wherever they're comfortable. Again, option, you can go onto your toes. See how that feels. See how that increases the space in your body. How much higher do you lift? Ooh, you can extend a leg if you'd like, which really generates some activation in the supporting thigh muscle. And also a little bit of balance. You really have to really square those shoulders on the ground as well. Just take whatever you want to play with. There is no right or wrong. And when you're ready, release those hands and carefully send those knees and your hips back to the floor. And we're going to bring the soles of our feet together one last time for our bound ankle pose, but reclined. Option to put pillows here, especially as we're winding down our class. I'm going to put some pillows there just because, like, why shouldn't your knees have pillows? Our head gets a pillow. Our head also contains our brain. But like, I'm not saying that it's more important than our knees. I'm not saying anything really, I'm just rambling. So let the soles of your feet come together. Let the knees open. Let those arms open and just be in this fully receptive posture. If this is uncomfortable for you, you can always bring your knees in, roll over onto one side into a little fetal position. That's much more self-contained. If you feel comfortable being this vulnerable and open, please do. Take a deep breath, let it fill your lungs. And then on your exhale, begin to settle as maybe your eyelids grow a little heavy, matching the heaviness of your shoulder blades, of your body along the ground. Perhaps your eyes come to close, not necessarily in sleep, but in a wakeful, mindful, resting posture. Let your breath become deeper and slower, and then ever so gradually release any effort related to the breath and allow it to just return to a natural, soothing state, one that you can almost forget about it completely. Check in with yourself. Start small. Start perhaps just in the muscles in your face. Are you holding tension? Are you gripping that jaw? Tensing your jaw? I don't know if people grip their jaws. I grip my jaw. And then the muscles and little tendons in your neck and all of the little areas that can pick up and hold tension. Can you let those go? In the shoulders and the arms. Just feel a sense of weight, of heaviness as you connect with the mat and the floor beneath you, but also a sense of weightlessness as you're also connected with the air and the sky above you. A nice harmony between where you are and where you're going. And just be silent for a moment, just be with yourself. I'm going to begin to sit up so I can send you off with a poem today. You just tap into your experience right now. This poem is called Poem I Lived in the First Century of World Wars by Muriel Rukeyser. I lived in the first century of world wars. Most mornings I would be more or less insane. The newspapers would arrive with their careless stories. The news would pour out of various devices, interrupted by attempts to sell products to the unseen. I would call my friends on other devices. They would be more or less mad for similar reasons. Slowly, I would get to pen and paper, make my poems for others unseen and unborn. In the day, I would be reminded of those men and women, brave, setting up signals across vast distances, considering a nameless way of living, of almost unimagined values, as the lights darkened, as the lights of night brightened. We would try to imagine them, try to find each other, to construct peace, to make love, to reconcile, waking with sleeping, ourselves with each other, ourselves with ourselves. We would try by any means to reach the limits of ourselves, to reach beyond ourselves, to let go the means, to wake. I lived in the first century of these wars. Take a moment to take some deep breaths knowing the practice is closing for today, but that the practice of yoga is timeless and limitless. Begin to bring some motion back into your body. Do that intuitively. Maybe you want to gently rock your head side to side or wiggle your fingers and toes. And with love and gentleness, begin to press yourself over onto one side if you're not already there. Tucking in those knees, a little bit of a hug for yourself, for all that you do and stand by and stand through. And using your hands, press yourself up with even more gentleness to a seated position, still alert but relaxed. Eyes still closed. Hands come in front of your heart. Hands come in front of your forehead. Take a deep breath here. On an exhale, begin to bow forward. Eyes can start to open. And here I offer you Namaste. We have done it again, team. I hope that you feel a little more spacious in your bodies, or at least just know your body's a little better on this day. Thank you so much for coming and for being a part of this. We do not have practice on Saturday. I might have an impromptu class on Saturday, but I'm going to be with some family, so I don't want to be stuck to a certain time and then let you all down by not making it. So if you're available on Saturday, I might do something kind of impromptu, but there is no scheduled class. I hope that you all continue to do well, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye.